Hello everyone and welcome to another review. So if you're looking for a luxury pickup truck, then there are very limited options in this segment, and one of it is this on your screen, which is the GMC Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate. So in today's video we're going to be finding out everything in detail about this Sierra 1500, which promises to deliver you comfort, space, capability and all of that in luxury. So let me begin from the front, but first, this truck is massive. Look at the size of it, like it extends and it's taller than me. So yeah, let's start from the front. You get this massive grille out here in the dark chrome, which is the difference between the normal Sierra 1500 variants and the Denali Ultimate, where you get this dark chrome grille with the GMC badging and normal shiny chrome. At the bottom of the bumper there are towing hooks, again all in chrome. Yes, there are also fog lights given on either side, and these fog lights are the LED fog lights on this GMC 1500 Sierra Denali Ultimate. And the headlight cluster is a completely LED headlight cluster. There are DRLs in the C shape, and the same DRLs convert into the turn signals. Then the main headlight cluster is in the middle, and this is a fully automated and dynamic headlight cluster. It adjusts the brightness, visibility, all of that on its own, so you just leave that. And as an optional extra on this, there is an engine block heater provided, and underneath this bonnet sits a 6.2 liter V8 engine. We are going to come to the details soon once we go for a drive. There are also these slots here, but then this is not sort of slot but just normal plastic. There's also a camera given because this thing comes with super cruise control system and also plethora of various safety systems, and all of those are operated using that camera. So your front warnings and all of that, pedestrian warnings and everything, using that camera for the safety systems. There are also these vents given on either side with the shiny black plastic, and these are the functional vents, so it goes from inside here and comes out from the back. Now on the sides you get Denali Ultimate exclusive 22-inch dual tone alloy rims with the black colored GMC badging in the middle, and disc brakes and calipers on the inside. There are also optional wheel locks, these plastic fenders, so they actually protect your metal fenders. The Ultimate 6.2 liter badging on the side, so you can flash around saying you drive a 6.2 liter V8. When it comes to the side mirrors, these are dual toned side mirrors, so the top bit is the chrome and the bottom is just normal plastic, and these are power foldable, power adjustable. They have the blind spot warning inside them, and also one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system. And not just that, there are additional lights on the side, so this car has all around lights, so that when you go in the darker areas, then you have these lights that you can switch on, so it illuminates the surroundings around the car. This full chrome surrounding these side windows, and also chrome door handles, and the front doors are keyless entry doors. There is also the Ultimate badging on the door sills, and when you open these doors you would notice there is a motorized sideboard with a chrome strip at the bottom. Now my concern is that the sideboard actually reduces the height of the car, and not just that, it's a motorized, so if you go off-roading and let's say you hit something on this thing, yeah, chances are it might stop working. So yeah, just make sure to account that also. And in the back you have the same 22-inch dual tone rims with this black color plastic fender on your actual fenders, and then you have this pickup cargo bed in the back with the GMC badging on the sides. There are also cargo lights. Once you go in the back, I'm going to explain you what's what on the back too. And this Denali Ultimate comes with leaf springs in the back and Denali exclusive adaptive suspensions on the front. Now in the rear there are full set of LED tail lights, turn signals, reversing light, brake lights, everything in LED. There is normal plastic on top of this bumper, but it's just so that it's more rugged and you don't damage your bumper when you get on and off from this cargo bed. There are also steps provided on the side, so you can step on that and then get into the cargo bed easier. There is this dark gray and chrome GMC badging and the Denali badging, the Sierra badging in chrome. At the bottom, the trailering hook provided. So in terms of the towing capacity, this Sierra 1500, especially the 6.2 liter V8, can haul 13,200 pounds, which roughly translates to about 6 tons of towing capacity, which is one of the highest in the segment, because this engine 6.2 liter is just really capable and powerful. And as I mentioned, there are additional lights installed. So the first light is that cargo bed light, so that cargo light can be switched on from inside. Even the side mirrors, the lights installed on the side mirrors, those lights also can be switched on from inside. There is also this split tailgate in the back, but first you get these chrome exhaust tips, dual chrome on either side, and you get active exhaust system. But actually have a listen to this 6.2 liter V8 rumble. Well, that was a soul satisfying sound, wasn't it? So continuing, there is a spare wheel provided at the bottom underneath the cargo bed, and you get this split tailgate and this cover, which is an optional extra, as I mentioned. So this is a tri-folding cover, and the split tailgate is first button. When you press on top, you open like a half gate, so if you want to put something in there, or if you want to open completely, but you just press it and there is a soft opening, so there is damping on the inside, which is pretty cool. There is a lining on the entire cargo bed, so yeah, you have this special material so that it's much more grippy and easier for your luggage. And in order to open this cover, you just pull the string provided, and then it's, as I said, tri-fold, and when you open, you have this massive amount of cargo space in the back. And especially this one also has an optional carbon fiber composite cargo bed, which gives it much more sturdiness, and also it's lightweight too. There's GMC badging on the inside. There are lights, cargo lights on inside too. There are also hooks given on the inside, so you can tie down your luggage. There is also a plug point given on the right side, and there is also this handle, so if you want to go on the inside of this bed, you can easily climb on the inside and hold on to this bar, which is a pretty useful feature. And in order to close it, just flick it and close it. And if you want to close this door, yeah, it's a bit heavy, but yeah, you can easily close that too, and close the cover after that. There is also a rear view window which can open in the center. Again, the button is given on the inside, but again, if you want to maybe pick up something from the cargo bed, it's for that, or let more fresh air in into this. Now in terms of the visibility, it can be slightly restricted because of the cargo bed, especially the lower level visibility, and if there are passengers in the rear, then that can even reduce it further. But the solution to that is there is a camera provided, so that feeds the rear view mirror. So flick it and then you have the rear view monitor, so that will show you pretty much unhindered view from the rear, so you don't have any issues if there are passengers or the long cargo bed or anything. And you can adjust even the brightness, rotation, and the zoom, so however you want, you can adjust lots of things on that rear view monitor. What if you don't want to put your luggage in the cargo bed, because let's say you don't have the cover, which is an optional extra? So the solution to that is on the inside of this rear. So these seats are the bench type setup, and you lift them up and you have the space in here. So let's say you want to protect your stuff from rain and snow or heat, then you can put all of that into this long sort of passage in here, and pretty broad that is because these seats lift up, and you can put your plants or whatever, bags or whatever you want to put in here. And also the tools and your jack, all of that are provided underneath the seat, and it's actually quite easy to just lift them and fold them away like that. And again, if you want to just put them down, flick it, and you can have your passengers again in the back. Now if you've seen the Sierra 1500 Denali and you think that is one of the most luxurious pickup trucks, then you have to see this Denali Ultimate version, because there is so much of premium materials used on the inside. And not just that, the fit and finish on this thing is just so sharp, like there are no visible gaps or anything, and actually very tight finishing in terms of that. But let me begin with the material quality. So you get this soft touch material on the dashboard with the white color stitching and some piping on the top, and then bottom of that there is this plastic trim that is meant to look like aluminium. Again, not complaining because it rather looks nicer. On this one for sure. Even on the steering wheel, the same sort of design at the bottom, and this real wood, which is like a raw wood, so there's no like polished one or anything or like a veneer on top of that, but just raw wood. Actually looks very nice and cool on this thing. And Denali badging with some coordinates with the peaks and the cliffs design on that. Even on the seats they've done that, and there's also an animation when you start the car every single time on your driver's display, on your infotainment screen. Those sort of peak and cliffs are animated. There are more premium materials used on the door cards. This same wooden trim on the door, above the door handles, the raw, so it's very good to interact, especially this wooden trim. And then you have the Alpine Umber leather on the Denali Ultimate version, because everything has to be exclusive, and which is why these seats feel so much more softer and comfortable. Again, even on the seats, as I mentioned, there's ultimate badging and the cliffs and everything embossing on it. And then you have the brown color leather on the door handles with the white color stitching and piping. At the bottom, just normal plastic, and just on the corner of the door cards is where I found the normal plastic. Is just what is really surprising. Otherwise they could have just covered that and made this entire thing so much more like flowy in terms of the design. But there's just normal plastic here, and on the center console at the bottom there is normal plastic, and then glossy plastic around the air conditioning switches, piano black plastic, which can become a fingerprint magnet sometimes. This screen, 13.4 inch 12.3 inch driver's display. So lots of things. Even the handrest, look at how massive this is, perforated in the center. Maybe someone can sit in the middle. No, don't sit in the middle. But it's pretty big that way. And again in brown color leather with a white color stitching, and again chrome bits around these cup holders, then more around these air conditioning vents, and even out here near the air conditioning controls. This velvety material on the roof, pretty spot on in terms of giving you the premium feeling on the inside of this 1500 Denali Ultimate. Now when you come to the driver's display, you get a 12.3 inch digital driver's display, and in terms of the visibility or the view, it's actually very crisp and very clear. There are more signs at the bottom of that on either side, on left and right, so your warnings and all of those signs are given at the bottom of that driver's display. But the conventional view that you get is dials on either side, speedometer on the left and the RPM counter on the right, with more information in the middle of that. But you can change the design of that too. But let me begin with the information that you see in the middle, because that is where you can change a lot of things, because there is an extensive menu options given on this thing, and you can control it using the scroller dial given on the right side of the steering wheel. So let's begin. First, you get digital speed to see, then the drive summary, trip 1, trip 2, you can reset, timer, tire pressure, fuel economy, driver assistance, oil life, brake pad life, air filter life, trailer brake, off-road gauges, so you can see the pitch, all of that, angle, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, engine hours, transmission fluid, then blank page if you want to leave, or you can customize the info page, do that. Then the media option, navigation option, phone option, then the detailed settings where you will see the display layout. So this is the classic layout, then the progressive layout. Bit of animation, takes a little while, but I'm not a huge fan of this progressive because it's not really roundish. And the digital counter, again, that's the second favorite option for me because it's much more cleaner. Or there's a clean layout, which is the fourth option, where there's no distraction, only speed in front of you. But I prefer the classic ones, much more everyday usable with a lot of information. Then you can change the left side info in the middle of the dial. As I mentioned, fuel pressure, transmission fluid, you can leave it in none, compass, time and temperature, tire pressure. We come to fuel economy. Go back, the right side information in that cluster also you can change, drive mode, compass, time, tire pressure, so many options you can change from within this one also. Then the lower gauges, again, if you want maximum information like the battery voltage, oil pressure, oil temperature, all of that you can see here. Range, then the medium levels where you can only see the temperature and the fuel range, that's about it. Or minimum where you only see the fuel gauge, that's about it. So all those options can customize. Info page options, then the units, speed warning, speed sign display, then there is a heads up display. So there is a 15-inch diagonal heads up display on this Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate. I'm going to come to that in detail because there are lots of options in that heads up display too. Then the software info reset. When you come to the steering wheel, this is a leather covered, pretty chunky and huge steering wheel with white color stitching on the edge, and as I mentioned, there is this plastic trim meant to look like aluminium, and there are buttons given on either side, even buttons given in the back, and paddle shifters too. So lots of buttons because this thing comes with 10-speed automatic transmission. So on the right side there are buttons given to change all the driver's display information, your voice control and the phone options to pick up the phone and cancel it. And on the left side there are buttons given for the cruise control. So the cruise control that you get is the standard cruise control, adaptive cruise control and super cruise control. So the super cruise control is something, yeah, which is pretty amazing on this thing, and you should definitely try it out. So you can actually have a hands-free driving, but not mind-free, I will tell you, because you still have to keep an eye out. But yes, if you are stuck in a traffic and there are tens and thousands of road networks on which the super cruise control has been optimized, so you can leave the car. In fact, I've done that in most of the traffic situations. So the car would figure out everything, and you signal the car to change the lane, it would find the gaps and it would change the lanes for you too. And there's a camera given in the front, and there's also sensors on the steering wheel. There's also a strip, which is a colored strip, which shows you when the super cruise control is engaged and all of that. So that camera makes sure that you don't fall asleep while you're driving, and also make sure that your face is visible all the time. So if I cover my face, then it automatically disengages the super cruise control. And in order to change the cruise control to adaptive cruise control, you can press the left side key, long press it, and it will automatically change the cruise control and the adaptive cruise control. And super cruise control, you can press the steering wheel option given on the steering wheel itself on the left side. You press that and you can put the car into super cruise control. And the steering wheel is also heated steering wheel, and it is electronically adjustable, which is the tilt and telescopic. So no working hard inside this car. Now when you come to the air conditioning controls, there are straightforward button operated air conditioning system on this Sierra 1500, but not just that, it's also split option. So you can either use the infotainment screen or the buttons, and everything has a button inside this car. So let's start with the air conditioning control, straight on and off in the middle, and dials given on either side for changing the temperature. So you get dual zone air conditioning system on this Denali Ultimate version, and buttons to change the fan speed, then more buttons on top for the flow of air and recirculation of air and everything. Then there are buttons given on either side for the ventilated seats, so you get heated and cooled seats on this Denali Ultimate version. And if you want to change the air conditioning system from inside the infotainment screen, there is an option for the climate. So you go inside and change the same sort of menu options. So on either side there is temperature change. The top bit is where you can change the fan speed. At the bottom you can sync, auto, AC on and off, recirculation of air, and switch on and off from the screen itself. So you have dual options. So if you are someone like me who likes to use the button operated, you have that option, or the screen is also provided if you are someone who wants to use the screen. And also the screens and the air conditioning controls, all of those are a little angled towards the driver, so it's just easier for you to interact while you are driving this car, and also very ergonomically placed, so you don't have to stretch your hand a lot while driving. Everything is at a very convenient distance, I would say. There are also more buttons given at the bottom of this air conditioning controls. So one is for the lane keep assist, then the parking assist buttons, the parking sensors, then the engine start stop button, then the tailgate button if you want to open that, then the parking button, lights, the traction control, the hill descent control, and this button on the edge where you can open all the windows at the same time. So you press that button. I'm not going to do that because there's a GoPro attached to that window on the other side, so all the windows would be lowered down. So let's say if the car is too hot and if you want immediately for all the windows to go down, you can do that too using this button. But then eventually you have to use your buttons on the driver side to close all the windows. I wish like the button would work both the ways to even close the windows. Now as I mentioned, there is a 15-inch heads up display given on this Denali Ultimate version. And there are also buttons given on the left side to adjust the heads-up display, the height of it, and you can customize the layout also. So you can see if you're in the cruise control or the compass if you want to see, or angle, pitch, yaw, and all of those, what two-wheel drive options and information that you want to see. Or you can just leave it in like just the speed, and it will show you your cruise control information and the speed limits displayed on your screen. And you can change the brightness also. But if you want to change the rotation and the angle of it, you have to go inside the infotainment screen and then into heads-up display, where you can customize speed limit style or adjust the rotation with the scroller dial on the right side. So yeah, that's a bit split option. In that case, there are also more buttons given on the left side at the bottom for engaging into auto, 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, or 4 low. And at the bottom of that, a mode button. So you get 3 different driving modes on this thing: normal, sports, and off-road. 3 driving modes. When it comes to the infotainment screen, this is a 13.4-inch colorful display given on the Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate, and it's very straightforward. And the plus point is that there is a Google Android operating system on this thing. There is Android 10 inside this system. So let's begin from the main menu. There are buttons given on the left side, also on screen buttons. So the first option is your audio option, and it's decently snappy also, this entire infotainment screen, and where you will find the connectivity options. So AM, FM, Sirius XM trial package included with this car, Bluetooth, news, podcast, Amazon Alexa, USB, and not just that, there is wireless, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay. We come back into home, then the maps. So because there's Google's Android operating system, there's inbuilt navigation system on this thing. There's also a 3-year package given with this Sierra 1500 with 72 GB of data, so you can utilize all of that. So this car also comes with its own data plan too for 3 years, so it's a part of the OnStar package from GM. Then the Play Store, phone, cameras. So this car comes with 360-degree camera system, so you can customize and view so many different views: front view, back view, trailering view from the top view in the front, back, or the side view from the front or the back. Then the cargo view, trailer view, whatever view you want to select. Apparently there are 14 cameras used for all this. Then there is Google Assistant, which is like your assistant inside the car. So let me give you a demonstration of that. Hey Google, can you set the air conditioning temperature to 22?
Okay, changing the temperature to 22 degrees.
So you can do lots of things with this Google Assistant. You can open the maps, you can open the Play Store, or whatever. If you want to change the FM, if you want to switch to different source of the media, then you can do all of that using the Google Assistant, and it works effectively very well. And not just that, this becomes very handy while you are driving this thing, because let's be honest, sometimes it can get a bit more complicated to operate the screen. So you have this assistant option, then the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, then the trailering option. So you have the trailering app itself. You can, once the trailer is attached, you can see all the details on your screen on this thing: cameras, weight, all of this checklist and everything. So dedicated option given for that. Then the next option is the climate option, then the settings option, detail settings option, inside which you will see a lot more options like the connections, then the vehicle, where inside you will see the teen driver option. So it limits some of the options for the teen driver. Then the air quality, buckle to drive. So if you put on your buckle, then only the car would go into drive, otherwise it won't drive. Then more options: app permission, date, time, display, accounts, privacy, storage, everything, updates, and all of that. Then the next option is Wi-Fi hotspot. You can give the passengers inside. Amazon Alexa, My GMC, which is where you can again see your plans, the servicing and all of that, or even the trailering help if you want. Take all of that and see from here. Podcast, news, that's from Google. Then if you see, there is a split screen option on your screen where you can see the clock if you want to, or the trailering options, or the media, or the maps on your screen itself, which is the inbuilt maps on the screen. So you can choose to see that too. Then from the top there is Google Assistant option, then the trailering options on the move if you want to go into that. Then phone option, which is where you can see your phones and calls and manage. Then the Google Maps, then there is media option, and we come back to the home option. You can drop down the menu and see some of the notifications too. So that is your infotainment screen. I like how this thing functions because it's very simple and straightforward and very easy to use. There is also a dial given for the volume knob and the home button, so it's closer to the driver. But there are, as I mentioned, buttons given on either side on the steering wheel also. One given on the left is to change the track, and the one given on the right side is to change the volume. Now when you come to the charging, it's given in this center armrest. You lift them up and you are greeted to two USB ports, one type C and one normal, along with a plug point, and there's a wireless charger also given on this Denali Ultimate version. But when this thing, the handrest is closed, the wireless charger tends to be a little hidden, and also the ports also. There are two more USB ports given in the front, one type C and one normal, and for the rear passengers there are two USB ports, one type C and one normal. On this Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate, there is a normal sunroof provided, but which is pretty ample. I would say you don't need anything more because you don't want more light or heat to come inside. Like today is almost 30 degrees. The air conditioning is actually working very well inside this thing, and there is also an SOS feature and also OnStar, these extendable sun visors. There are also grab handles given in the front for the driver and the passenger, and also in the rear given on either side. Now when you come to the storage, there is quite a lot of storage given on this thing. So in the door cards you can easily put two half-a-liter water bottles and some more storage on the sides. There is this storage underneath the air conditioning controls. You can put your phones and wallets, two flexible cup holders, slot given to put your key, this wireless charger, this huge hand rest inside which there is storage, and a tray. You remove that and you can easily put about, I think, 8 half-a-liter water bottles, very easy. This is also a slidable tray. There is this glove box, decently big. Then you can open this door and you can utilize this storage too to put your phones and wallets. I think all the manufacturers should start giving this because there's so much of empty space inside. There are also these slots given to put your phones again when they are charging, and in the rear door cards again you can put easily 1.5 liter water bottle and some more storage on the side. And in the rear there is a handrest in which you will find two normal cup holders. There are also two more cup holders, normal ones, which are provided behind this handrest. Now on this Denali Ultimate you get 12 speaker Bose music system, and it sounds incredible, especially with the build quality. It just sounds very good on the inside. On this Ultimate version of this Sierra 1500 you get, as I mentioned, brown color leather seats with the white color stitching and white color piping, and these seats are perforated seats. But the best bit is that these seats are so much more comfortable, and once you are sitting on it for a longer time you just realize how comfortable they are, and they offer you a lot of support on the sides and also at the bottom, and my thighs also have decent amount of support underneath them. But not just that, these seats also offer massaging options. I'm going to come to that. These headrests again are pretty squidgy that way. There's decent amount of, as I mentioned, side support and also the side support at the bottom too. And in terms of the adjustability of the seats, you get 16-way electronically adjustable driver and the passenger side seat, which includes lumbar and everything. But there's also massage options for both the driver and the passenger side seat. But the only problem is that in order to change or do anything on the massage, so the notification comes on your infotainment screen, but in order to change it you have to just use the dials and the buttons given on the seats, and you can't use the touchscreen, which is a bit of a hassle sometimes. You can just only cancel it, so you have to be very precise while you're driving, especially because if I was driving it's just easier to press the options on the screen and then switch on the massaging seats. But well, yeah, there is massaging seats, and also these seats vibrate, so that's like a safety option. So if there is an obstruction, if you're parking or something, or front parking or parking in the back, it will just vibrate on that side wherever there is a warning. So that's a pretty handy feature which is included inside these seats. Now when you're inside this thing, space is never going to be an issue for any passengers inside this pickup. Now look at the knee room here. There is like more than 1 palm worth of knee room, and the headroom again is just so much. Someone about 6 feet or 6.5 feet can easily sit here because there's a cutout provided that gives you extra bit of headroom too, and you can even slide your legs under the seats. Plenty of options and space to utilize inside this pickup, and easily you can stretch your legs during the longer journeys. And in the back, the same brown color leather with the white color stitching, perforated seats provided, but the rear seats are also the heated seats on either side, so not the middle one but just either side of the seat gets the heated option, which is again pretty useful, especially during winters. There are 3 headrests, and the middle one is a bit slimmer, as you can see, and the one on either side, they are also pretty soft and squidgy, and there is a decent amount of support underneath by thigh, although these seats are more like a bench type setup, but still they offer a good amount of support underneath the thigh and also on the sides and at the bottom. And as I said, there's storage given underneath the seats too, so there's no tunnel or a step in the back in spite of this being a 4-wheel drive, but the floor itself is slightly raised. So when I sit in the middle, again that's also pretty soft, the bottom bit, but the backrest has a bit of a hump, that's the only thing, but there is lots of space in here, and the knee room is you wouldn't complain if you are the middle passenger. And there is also this handrest, as I said, a bit short I would say, and there are 3 cup holders instead of the 2 as I mentioned. 2 on either side are the flexible ones, the middle one is just the normal cup holders, and you can fold it away, but it's just that it's a bit short. And not just that, there's also storage provided behind the seats also, so there's every bit of utilization of space. So you can open this door and you can put something like your cleaning cloth, or I don't know what you can put in there, but there is some slight amount of space which you can utilize, maybe your spare clothes if you go somewhere outside for hiking or somewhere, you can use that too. So there is lots of storage options in there. There is also storage options on the door cards, 1.5 liter worth of bottle. And in terms of the quality in the door cards, I believe there's better quality in the rear door cards than the front, because the front one had that plastic bit. Here it's not that case because it's covered in leather. Could have just covered that one too, in the front. So soft bits in the back, and then this wooden material provided on the door handles above that, and then the brown color leather with the white color stitching, the handrest on that very soft, the switches and all feel quite good, the handles given in the back so that you can hold on when you go off-roading. There are pocket storage in both the driver and the passenger side seat, and as I mentioned, 2 more cup holders given there, or there's a slot you can maybe put your phone or your iPad if you want to watch something in the back. Then there are 2 air conditioning vents given at the bottom. You can just control the direction of air or completely cover them, that's about it. 2 USB ports and 2 buttons to switch on the heated seats given on either side. But overall, this space in the back is quite ample for the rear passengers, and 3 people can easily sit onto these seats. 3 proper fully grown adults can sit inside the seat, and if not, then you can always utilize the rear seats by folding them away and putting a lot of luggage in the back. So this GMC Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate is powered by a 6.2 liter V8 Ecotec3 engine that produces 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, and this engine is mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission that sends the power to all the 4 wheels via a 2-speed transfer case, which is from SpeedTrack 2-speed transfer case. And there are, as I mentioned, 3 different driving modes, which is normal, sport and the off-road. And if you put it in the sport mode, actually the exhaust actually sounds so much more beefy and throaty, so you can actually hear the exhaust note change like this now. It becomes very shouty and angry. So that's a bit of a entertainment going on in the back. So there is a bit of burbling and all that goes. I'm going to leave it in the sport and let you hear. So yes, coming to the engine, this is a fabulous powertrain because the engine is so smooth in terms of the power delivery, and even the gearbox, even though it's 10 speed, you wouldn't notice that you're moving through 10 different gears on this thing because it's just very efficient and very smooth. So the paddle shifters that ways are slightly smaller, so I'm not too keen on using the paddle shifters. Let the car do all the direct shifting on its own, but you can take it into your own hands if you put the car into the L mode instead of the drive mode. So using this chunky gear knob, so I did not touch upon this gear knob, but yes, it's conveniently placed too when you want to use it, and it's very easy to put it into drive, neutral or reverse, all of that. There's also a trailering switch given in the back to control the brake gain on the trailer. I'm going to explain you that in a bit. So in terms of the towing capacity, as I said, up to 6 tons that you can tow with this V8 engine, which is phenomenal for this truck, and especially this is considered to be a luxury truck, but it's still got the towing capability, so there is no cutback on that. And as we come to the powerhouse, it's smooth. I really like it, what is given on this thing, and it's just fitting for this thing, especially with that sound going on in the back, the soundtrack. Now when you come to the economy takes a bit of a hit because it's a V8. So when I'm driving inside the city with the mix sort of traffic, it's around 5.5 to 6 kilometers per liter, which translates to about 17.5 liters per 100 kilometers. And on longer runs, I've gotten about 13.5 liters per 100 kilometers, which is close to 7.5, which is decent for this massive pickup, because that's what you need when you go off-roading with this truck. You would need a lot of fuel inside, and the fuel tank is also pretty big in that sense. The power delivery across the 4 wheels is decent, is what I found, and there is no decision in when to deliver the power, because it's pretty snappy in that sense. Now when it comes to the suspensions, there are upgraded suspensions on this Denali version of this Sierra 1500, and there are leaf springs in the back, which makes things slightly harder, but in the front there's adaptive dampers, and also in the back adaptive dampers, and they make things slightly bearable, I would say, for sure. There's also the carbon composite bed given in the back, and the whole point is the floppiness, because there is still a bit of floppiness going on in the back, especially when it goes through some harder bumps, and there is that rattling going on in the back, but it's still pretty sturdy in that sense. Maybe if you load this thing up in the back, the cargo, then it would start behaving much more in terms of the grip levels that you get from the back, but otherwise it feels very light from the rear. But the suspensions themselves are pretty comfortable, especially the Denali package of this, and that's making the whole ride experience genuinely very comfortable on the inside. Club with these seats, yeah, this thing is a genuinely nice luxury pickup to be classified as. Now when it comes to the steering wheel, again, that's one more aspect which is very good on this thing, and you get an electronic steering. Let me put this on the side because there's a lot of sun coming on. I hope it's not ruining my video, because the sun is directly falling on that camera. Let's see. Coming to the steering, now this has an electronic steering on this Sierra 1500, and the response is pretty good. There is good amount of feedback from it. It's got the lightness to it, so you don't realize how much weight there is on this thing, but it's a little over 3.5 tons this pickup truck weighs. So to hide that weight is pretty clever. I think it's 3.7 tons. So the steering does the job very well, especially in off-roading. It does this very well. I've had a chance to go a little off-roading in this thing, and the steering actually comes pretty alive during off-roading, and that's where it really shines out. So on that front, it's very decent. And the reason I'm not doing a lot of off-roading is because this has 22 inches of those shiny rims, and I don't want to damage them, especially without any off-road tires on this. So yeah, with the proper gear, this thing is a very capable 4x4 too, but it's just that the bumper in the front is actually pretty long, so that reduces your approach angle slightly. So yeah, this is more of a one-off off-roading experience. If you want to do on this thing, then you can do that too. Now when it comes to the brakes, there are 4-disc brakes, and they work pretty well for a massive pickup like this. And through the brakes you can actually realize the weight, because the stopping distance takes a little while. Also the pedal is slightly softer and slightly progressive, like progressive in the sense that initially there is a bit of the dead pedal and then the progressive action happens. But nonetheless, yeah, good pedal setup, and especially when you're off-roading, you are going to slam the brakes hard, and that is accounted into that fact that you're going to be using more like that. So it's kept a little softer. Now when it comes to the noise and the vibrations, there's not much that way in terms of the noise going on. The V8 sound is just very musical to the ears. And in terms of the tire noise, yes, there is slight bit of noise, I will admit that, especially when you go at higher speeds you start hearing that, but the wind whooshing and all, there's nothing sort of that. And the build quality is rather very good, so there's no rattling or as such going on from the dashboard or from the seats or anything. Seats are the best thing on this one, for sure. And in terms of the roll also, it's surprisingly not too much. The adaptive dampers are making sure that you don't feel that much of a roll. In fact, there is no roll in that sense. There is, like, it's just for a pickup truck, yes there is, but if you compare it in general for a big size car, there isn't much. Now when it comes to the safety systems, this is handsomely loaded. So you have 8 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags for the driver and the passenger, 4 curtain airbags given in the frames, in the middle and also in the back. There are also child ISOFIX points in both the rear seats. There is a 360-degree camera system and also the trailering cameras and all of that. So there is just so much. There is also a trailering app, as I mentioned, and using that there is the distance that you can calculate. And as I mentioned, there is the trailer gain, brake gain. So using this, you can decide how much to brake on that trailer when you press the brake pedal. So you can set that gain. So whenever there is like 5%, 10%, 25%, that's how you decide how to, put that gain using the buttons given on this center console. So apart from the other safety systems, there is also ABS, there is also emergency brake system, there is front pedestrian warning, there are rear vehicular warnings even in the front, then there is lane keep assist, lane departure warning, the adaptive cruise control and super cruise control, which is an optional extra, but make sure you get that, because super cruise control will make your life so much more easier in a traffic situation, especially now these days in Toronto when you drive on a Gardiner Expressway. Yeah, you can just put this car in super cruise control and not worry about anything else after that. So that's also been provided, and which is a very handy option. Then there's tire pressure monitoring system. When it comes to the pricing, so the Denali Ultimate variant comes in at 103,499. I'm going to put the exact price on your screen. Whereas with a lot of optional extras, which is the super cruise control, the carbon fiber composite bed, then the material sprayed on the bed frame itself. So all of that, when you add up, it comes to 111,304 Canadian dollars, whereas the standard one comes in at 103,499 Canadian dollars. Where, if you ask me, in terms of the luxury offered, yes, there is plenty of luxury, and it easily sits in the top 3 pickup trucks for sure, and it's genuinely a good space to be in. And these seats with the leather, so should you first of all upgrade from Denali to Ultimate? Yes, you should, because the options that you get are worth the upgrades, like the leather seats. The leather options is the single most option for which you should opt for, and also the Denali suspensions, all of that, it makes your life much more comfortable. But let's be honest, if you're going to be doing off-roading, then Denali Ultimate isn't the version for you, I will admit that. Then the elevation is something which fits, because it's got all the options, and also off-roading, it's got the skid plates and everything in the front, so that will actually fit your purpose, or even the 84X. But this is more for cruising in luxury in a pickup truck, and if you're going to be occasionally doing some off-roading, yes, you can do that too, but you're definitely going to be happy in this thing. And then the exhaust, this 6.2 liter V8, wow, it's just something. So yeah, this thing is definitely a top 3 luxury pickup truck in the segment. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Give this video a thumbs up, and thank you for watching this video. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, then you can click here, and if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care and drive safe.